Tánaiste, I believe you've said that you've ruled out forming a government with Sinn Féin. I'm wondering what you would say to voters who didn't find that commitment credible, given your previous broken pledge not to go into government with Fine Gael.
We're not going into a grand coalition, so we will not be entering into a grand coalition. The people want change. It's very clear the message we're receiving. People want change in this country. They want Fine Gael out of office. Look, the message I've received loud and clear. People want a new government. They want a change of government. And that involves Fine Gael out of government. And that is our very clear position. That is our position. Fine Gael need to come out of government. They've been there too long. They haven't delivered on the key issues such as housing, health, and the impact of costs, in the cost of living on so many people. And suddenly say, oh, by the way, we'll go into government with you at the drop of a hat. That doesn't, I think, resonate with people. And then high presto, overnight, you know what, we'll go into government with Fianna Fáil. That doesn't make sense to the public. That's the type of Jekyll and Hyde behaviour. It's just, I don't think has credibility.
What would you say to a voter who feels lied to, given what you had said so emphatically previously and then went back on that?
Well, I'm very clear. I said it already that in 2020, I said we wouldn't go in with Sinn Féin, and we didn't. And we didn't engage in negotiation with Sinn Féin. In 2016, I said we wouldn't go into government with Sinn Féin, and we didn't. Despite overtures from Sinn Féin, we didn't engage. And I'm saying on this occasion, very clearly on the policy front, in terms of the economic model we have in this country, I think Sinn Féin would seriously undermine the enterprise economy we have. They're not positively pro-Europe. In terms of housing, they're not in favour of home ownership to the degree that we are. And they're too ideologically entrapped on the housing question, in our view, to resolve it. And there's fundamental differences there. On the reserves, the provision of funds, the Future Ireland Fund and the infrastructure, they're going to discontinue those funds. That's a huge issue, I think, for the country. Never mind between two different parties. In 2020, through the coalition government we formed with Fine Gael and the Greens, on the core principles of the economic model and pro-Europe, I think that was the one option that enabled that to happen, that a government could be created that could align with those core principles. And we will not be, and it's legitimate for political parties to say that the policy differences are so fundamental that we don't believe we'll be going, or we will not be going into government with them. No party has a divine right to be in government with 20% of the vote or 28 plus. You need, what happens in our system is TDs are elected. The TDs then form a government, political parties, or individuals, whatever. But it's the Dáil appoints the government. And no one has a divine right in advance of that to be in government.
But what would you say to, as I say, a voter who felt like you lied essentially when you said there will be no grand coalition, Fine Gael need to come out of government, they've been in government too long, the people of Ireland want change, etc., etc. These very emphatic statements just a few days before people went to the polls and cast their ballots in 2020. Do you apologise to members of the public who may have voted for your party on the basis of statements like that and then saw that the outcome was very different after the election was finished?
Well, I think the voters actually, and people voted, and people who vote Fianna Fáil, vote on the basis that we want to support government. We want to create governments after the general elections and be constructive in relation to that. The people voted in 2020. They gave us the results. I think there was an obligation on us at that time to enable a government to be formed in accordance with the principles and the mandate that we had sought, which is as a positive pro-European party, pro-enterprise economic model, and to get those principles through and to get the mandate of the people that voted for us, who voted overwhelmingly on those principles. And if you go through the votes subsequently that led to government, it's the largest vote of any political party ever in the history of this country in terms of entering into government. I think about 14,000 votes, and about 84% of that party members supported that decision.
So you wouldn't accept that you lied?
We made commitments. We weren't in a position to follow up on those commitments.